Tapestry weaves together the threads of our struggles and doubts, curiosities, our faith, our joys and hopes to create meaningful conversations that matter. You know those late night conversations that go unexpectedly deep? That's what we want to capture with the Tapestry podcast. And we want everyone to jump in the conversation. Because when we are heard and valued, we can begin to believe we are loved. Welcome to the Tapestry podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Tapestry podcast. My name is Haley, and I'm joined here by Mike and Mwangi. Say hello, friends.
Hey.
What's up?
And today we're going to be talking, asking the question of, won't you be my neighbor? Very Mr. Rogers-esque. Pretty much tackling the topic of why our society doesn't feel as neighborly, why we don't feel as connected to other people as we used to, and kind of, tacking along onto topics we've already kind of talked about and in that same lens. So welcome back. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, and I think we'll try to break it up, talk a little bit about, in our first episode on the topic, talk about what does it even mean to be a neighbor at all, and then transition an episode, and then an episode after that to are we really not as connected, or does it just feel that way? What does that look like today? And then all along talking about spirituality and faith connections to these ideas. But then in the final episode in this series, really going hard on what does it mean? What do faith traditions teach us about being neighbor? What does our spirituality, how does that inform how we interact with the people around us? So I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah.
And get started. And I guess, if we're starting, what is it? What do we mean by neighbor? I guess is the first question to tackle.
As you were talking, I was asking myself the same question. So spot on, Mike. Obviously, the traditional sense of neighbor, we kind of think, okay, the person lives next to you, right? That's the traditional kind of thing. But I started thinking about, well, what if it's the same person on the bus you take to work every single day, and you see the same person? What's the difference between that person who takes the bus with you and then the person who lives next to you? You might even see them more often, right? What is the person at your job in your cube? What is the person at your church in your pew? Are they your neighbor? Are they not? Maybe what should I ask you guys is, what doesn't define a neighbor? I feel like it's so who is not your neighbor? Is it just somebody you don't see that often?
Who's not our neighbor?
Yeah.
I mean, Haley, I'd love to hear if you got something.
It's hard to, I don't know. I'll start with the original question, which is, who is the neighbor? Which I think would be, in the way that we're talking about it, pretty much anyone that we surround ourselves with, people in our community, not even necessarily people close to us, just people that make up our surroundings. You know what I mean? So our literal neighbors, but also the people we work with, the people who work in our building that maybe we don't work with. I think, people at the grocery store, people in our community that we are around, whether we acknowledge that or not. But I think that can expand further than just where you live. I think it can be for me, just anyone you kind of come in contact with, excuse me. But even online too, right? How we treat each other online. We like to act like we're incredibly connected, which we are in a very digital sense, but we're very good at hiding behind screens and forgetting that the people around us in those digital spaces are actual people too. So I think a neighbor should be, at least in practice, just anyone any other person. The people that are hard to call our neighbors, so instead of saying who's not my neighbor, but who's hard to be neighborly to, are those who you know, just mean people. People who, like, I don't know, like, just hateful people. People who don't, under any circumstance, ever want to see me as a neighbor, you know? Who hold biases or prejudice just from the get. But even then, I think we've talked about this kind of before, where it's like, I want to value those people still. Like, I still want to treat them kindly and with respect.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Consideration for them as a human being. But when it comes to being neighborly, that's tough.
Yeah, I guess I've got similar answers too. Like on the one hand, I want to give the Jesus-y answer and just say, everyone's my neighbor, everybody, all the humans, which I think on some level is absolutely true. And it maybe is even deeper than that, just deeper than just neighbor. On the other hand, yeah, like the people that are close to me, whether that's like a physical proximity or a, like we have some sort of connection that has to do with work or like affinity groups, whether it's, for me, bikes and skiing and stuff like that. Or, yeah, I guess I think of those people as neighbors. When I was at the grocery store today, and that like awkward moment where like you're coming out of an aisle and somebody else is like coming across the aisle, and you're like, wait, who goes first? And there's no, like, we don't have lights for this. There's no signs. And the cool thing was, it was like a really kind and generous interaction in that moment today, where I was like, hey brother, you just go, man, go ahead. I'm like, oh, no, you go. And then there was like another woman coming, and it got like even more awkward, but it all worked out. So yeah, I guess the person you have to navigate around at the grocery store, the people you share space with, I guess. Like there's sometimes that people will be, to use the grocery store example some more, like in an aisle, and you know how like they put those things in the aisles in the middle now? I feel like all the grocery stores have like these enormous displays right in the middle of the aisle, or on the side where you have to like go around. It creates these bottlenecks. And it's like, are you just trying to cause awkward situations for people?
Like obstacle courses, yeah.
And so one of the things I sometimes say to lighten the mood, maybe in those moments, I'm like, hey, we all got to share our space. And when people are like, oh, I'm sorry, I got to get around. Like, don't be sorry. We're all working together here. We're all looking for frozen egg rolls,
Yes.
But Mongi, I guess you asked who's not my neighbor, or who do we think of as not the neighbor? I guess I agree with kind of both of you and say, like, I don't want to say that anybody isn't my neighbor. I feel like I'm supposed to say, no, like we're all in this, but maybe have a similar, especially right now. I still have some student loans from seminary, and there is some uncertainty in this moment in history around student loans in the United States. And so I was on one program, and now that it's a bit of a mess. And so without putting too fine a point on it, I guess, the people who voted for the people who are making my life pretty hard when it comes to student loan issues don't feel very neighborly to me. So
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's as rough as I'll get today, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I ask the question is sometimes when I'm trying to remember the definition of something, or trying to remember like how to use something, it helps me to understand the limitation of the thing first, simultaneously while trying to define it. And like you said, that you want to say everybody's your neighbor any more than you want to say everybody's your friend, right? But not everybody's your friend, right? You could say like, yeah, I'm friendly. Like everybody has good intentions, but is there intimacy with the word neighbor the same way that you have with the word friend? Maybe there is, and maybe that's the point. Neighbor maybe is a little bit more distant. It's kind of like, well, we're here in the grocery store. We're all trying to do the same thing, check out. So let's just be civil and help each other out. We're at the gas station trying to pump gas,
Yeah, yeah.
so let's all be civil, that kind of thing. So maybe it's a situation that makes it neighborly, but if it wasn't for that situation, it's not a diss on the person, but there's no interaction, right?
Yeah.
After that.
Yeah, I would think that there's no. I don't think anyone expects that we're all close to each other. You know what I mean? Right? Like, that would be unreasonable to think that like everyone could have like a deep relationship with everyone else. Like, we're not wired that way. It's not how the world works. But that doesn't mean we can't be. I use the word civil, and I think that's
Yes.
really good, Mwangi.
Yeah.
Like, and that's almost like a sterile, kind of cold term in some ways to me. And maybe neighborly is like another, like a slightly warmer
warmer,
term
yeah.
than civil. Yeah. So maybe civility is like a baseline, and neighborly is even better. I don't know. Yeah.
It's kind of like when people describe like New Yorkers as kind but not nice.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you can be civil,
I
but you're not necessarily neighborly, or like, yeah.
Well, and I grew up in that area, and I would say, actually, the neighborliness comes out like when there's an actual need,
Yeah.
or someone's really, like people are there, and having spent enough time in the city definitely had people like stop and give help when I've been in some other places that are supposed to be, so much friendlier or
Sure.
nicer, where it's like maybe not quite as much help forthcoming. Yeah. I guess when it comes to being a neighbor, it's important to think about not just the people like that are right next to you, but probably the people that are beyond that. Because if we're only caring about or neighborly with the people whose properties or apartments or whatever are like right next to ours, then we're probably going to have some pretty big problems pretty quickly, right?
Yeah, but strangely, I even find that like I experience more neighborly connections not in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
I grew up in a cul-de-sac, and we were really, really close with our neighbors because like you can just be outside and not have to worry about traffic and all that kind of stuff. And we were all like kids at the same age and stuff like that. But moving out of that neighborhood and now moving into my own apartment complex, there's like we've met neighbors and they're all very, very nice, but there's less community interaction. Like it's strangely quiet. So somehow like most of the time missing people in the parking lot, missing people in the stairs, like you're just kind of alone, even though you know all these people are around. So I find more of my neighborly like interactions where it's like, hey, if you need anything, let me know, that kind of a thing. I experience more of that in my church community, and that's just because where I am the most, because I work there. So I'm in contact with a lot of helpful people, and so I find that I'm not even sure my question is, how neighborly are your actual literal neighbors?
I don't think they have to be so neighborly, to your point, right? Because, in your sphere of influence, right? Like you got your friends, you got your family and things like that. The neighbors, it's sort of this, again, it's this like realm of interaction that just lives in its weird space. Like you kind of describe, it's kind of weird, right, Haley? That's kind of what you're kind of saying. Like,
Yeah.
we share walls, right? We're all like, if we're all here or something outside, we're all gonna come out and be like, "What's that?" Right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, then we'll go back to our caves and do our
Right.
own thing, right? Like, so I think that's a healthy part of. I think that's okay. That's healthy, right? It's almost like it's not transactional, but it's defined in a certain way, right? Like you're my neighbor, I'm doing my thing, I'm in an apartment. If I'm about to leave, I'll let you know, but I also want my space, right? So maybe part of being neighborly is also like allowing people to have their space. Unlike, sometimes family doesn't allow you to do that, right? Sometimes family's all up in your face and doesn't allow you to do that. So like perhaps even the neighborly thing is healthy in a way where you choose when to interact, right? Now we're talking about good neighbors. You can have bad neighbors that make a lot of noise.
Yeah.
And,
Right.
or all that.
Or unreasonable demands on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw a TikTok recently, and it was this woman who's probably around my age, actually probably older, in her 30s or so, but she was talking about her mom. And so often, like, when we talk about, like, neighborly, I think we also talk about, like, being part of a village. So, like, it takes a village. Mm-hmm. And there's kind of this, like, wordage on Twitter and stuff that comes around every now and again about, like, to have a village, you have to be a villager. And so, this woman was talking about her mother, who she says is the best villager she's ever seen, and in turn has an incredible village. And so, she was talking about, like, the things her mom does, which is, like, she will always do the favor at a drop of a hat. Like, not at the drop of a hat, but she always does the favor, not assuming that people are taking advantage or, like, and also not assuming that she's going to get something in return. So, like, she needs to drive someone's kid to the airport? Absolutely. Like, it's just kind of doing these things for people and not expecting anything in return. But because of that, people do return favors because they know that there isn't any strings attached. But this woman was saying that all of this has continued for so long that whenever her mom needs anything, like if she needs something for a recipe, like she just put it in like a group chat of her friends and there's someone there with the ingredient. Like she doesn't have to go to the store. She doesn't have to go on Amazon and get like she said pickleball racket. Like if like a pickleball paddle, excuse me. But like a paddle, like if she needs an extra, she's not going to Amazon or something. She's asking her friends to borrow one. And so she just has so many people who are able to support her. And that when this woman who was talking in the video had a baby shower, it was full of women that were her mom's friends who had created this village, and she hasn't had to buy anything for her baby so far. Like, I don't know how many months later, but it was this idea of like the village extends past who we know too, right? Because it's not this woman's friends, it's her mom's friends. But in turn, that means that she's part of that circle. And this means also that her, like this woman's friends, the woman's friends were also included in this village as well, because people just continue and extend that community to people who want to engage. And I find that comforting that one is still existing somewhere. And also knowing that could be out there for me, but it also takes work. And we had talked about this in the episode before of like, what was our question for that? Why,
what do I owe you?
Yeah. What do I owe you? Why don't I want to owe you something? But to me, episodes and a few weeks later, like that answers that question for me of like, why do I want to owe someone something? Maybe the question isn't that they owe, maybe it's not transactional at all. And maybe that's the secret here. In creating a neighborhood for ourselves. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Like, what is it? Yeah. What is a neighbor? And then what is it to be a neighborhood? Can that be something more than a physical location? I mean, I think of kind of Mwangi, what you said, you hear a noise or something, or if somebody has a need in your neighborhood, one of the most neighborly moments that's happened in my neighborhood in the last, few months was there was a pretty big like car crash at one of the intersections, like right by my house, like right over there. And it was loud enough that like kind of shook the house. Heidi and I were both home. Wow. I felt like everybody in the neighborhood was home, and everybody rushed out. People were okay. Nobody was badly injured. But it was one of those where like there's a stop sign, somebody didn't pay attention, they went through it, somebody else was coming. It was crazy. But like we met neighbors that we hadn't met yet because we were just all out and talking and kind of taking care of the people who were hurt and, waiting until officers got there and all that stuff. And sometimes it's like, oh man, it's too bad that it took a car crash outside to get us out here to talk to each other. Yeah. But on the other hand, it's a good thing that we came out and talked to each other. And so I think there's something about, what is a neighbor? I think it's someone who supports the people in their lives, right? It's taking care of each other, to go back to that, what do I owe you? I think, if we're to be neighborly, and I think, so every faith tradition that I'm connected to, I think my friends who practice Islam, my Muslim friends, would say the same thing. I just got a chance to have a great conversation with a friend who's a Jewish rabbi. I think he would say the same about what it means to be a neighbor is to care for one another, to be looking out for the needs of others as well, and be at least to some degree proactive about that, and not just when somebody asks for the cup of sugar or whatever ingredient for what you're baking.
Yeah. I like that.
I think I would say this, if it's not for those moments, it is hard to interact. Because we love that's the stimulus, right?
Yeah.
Car crash, I need sugar, yada, yada, right? I need to change my tire. It's those things that will forge the memory. Then to your point, that's when you met so-and-so that you never met before, who lives down the street, that you didn't even know that, there were 3 people in the house kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right? We shouldn't wait for those, but at the same time, too, those are milestones where you're like, okay, this is the thing that forced us to be together. Which may mean that if there aren't those events, then it's likely that you don't meet your neighbors, right? If there isn't a car alarm going off at night, then you're not going to know, your people or what, so maybe we do need those stimuluses to get us out there and meet each other. Because otherwise, if everything is kosher, then we wouldn't,
Yeah.
We just do our
Maybe it's
thing.
always been that way. I don't know. Haley, you were talking about village. Maybe it's maybe you don't know everybody in your village. Well, if it's a small enough village, you probably did. But maybe you didn't really know somebody really well until you helped catch the cow who got away. I'm imagining an old timey storybook right now, but I mean, those are the kinds of things that do draw us together.
And this. Go ahead, Haley.
Yeah, I was gonna say for us in this apartment, it's the fire alarm goes off. It's so annoying. The something about the sensor with the pipes and stuff, it goes off, but it acts like a fire, and so everyone leaves the building, and then we're all just standing outside waiting together.
Yeah.
Complaining, right?
Yes.
Complaining.
Yes.
That's your.
But also, it actually tends to start in silence, and then I'm social enough to say something to someone usually because I get bored, so I talk.
Yeah, and if you left your phone behind, right? Because that's the other thing is, I watch, and we've talked about this before, and I know we will talk about it again, and in the very next episode, I'm sure we'll come up against it. There are times when I see, I have a park just 1 block from my house. It's like a greenway, open space kind of thing. It's narrow but long kind of bike path thing that goes through it, and people are always walking on it. And there's some people I recognize, some people I don't. But so often I see just people on their phones, and so we're kind of head down in our own little world, and so I wonder if, when people go out for the fire alarm, are they just immediately I'm just waiting until I can be on.
Yes.
I'll be on this screen until I can get on my bigger screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that has to be a hindrance to neighborliness, right? At least in the physical, proximate kind of way.
I would say so. Yeah.
Unless the person's feeling neighborly with whatever social media they're on, they might feel like that's their neighborhood. You know what I mean? It's not my physical. It's my virtual neighborhood, right? So
we totally had
connected.
This.
You know what I'm saying? So
exactly happened in youth group this Sunday. We had one of the kids was talking on whatever messaging app with his girlfriend. And it was time to do the next thing. And I was like, come on, man, come on, let's do the thing. He's like, no, I got to finish this. I'm like, it's not urgent. She'll be there when you get back. He's like, I can't leave her on red.
Yeah.
That's rude. Right. And I'm like, okay. So like there is a sense in which there are different social protocols or expectations around different ways of being connected to each other. And that varies from the medium to the medium, and I think also generation to generation. Because like I have no problem leaving somebody on red. Like I will do that for days and days. Sorry, I'm old. But
You're leaving them on read or on delivered, Mike?
No, on like I will read the thing.
You got read receipts on?
Well, it depends on which one it is. If it's on Snapchat, then like yeah. You took off your read receipts. Can you do that on Snapchat?
No.
Tell me about the snappings.
I do it on iMessage.
I don't know the chat. Okay, yeah.
I don't use Snapchat. I'm grown up.
I work with.
I use it sometimes.
Actually, the person that I most frequently snap with.
Snap.
The one that I snap with is my nephew, and so he's in high school, and so we have a streak.
Oh my goodness, I have one streak. Yes.
Yeah, I just have the one, just the one with my nephew. Yeah. Well, I feel like we're kind of coming to a good wrap up on this first segment of this talk about Won't You Be My Neighbor? And I don't know if you guys just saw that, but my AirPod, my generic AirPod just fell out of my ear, which is, I think, hilarious. And I think my dog might try to eat it. Don't eat that, baby. I'm back. She didn't eat it.
Good dog.
6. Good.
She's a good girl. Sorry, Steve. Steve is the guy who does our post-production. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Steven.
And he actually, when I talked to him about this, one of the things he talked about was, for him, the people he feels most neighborly with are not the people that live close to him, but the people that he knows online, which is, I think, something we can talk about in our next episode, which will come out very, very soon. So, we'll continue the conversation. We've got, more and more to talk about. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
See you guys.
The Tapestry podcast is produced by Stephen Bailey. Original music was scored by Taylor Martin. Our hosts are Haley Bird, Wangi Ndonga, and me, Mike Orr. Special thanks to Lauren Richmond Jr. and Resonate Media. You can learn more about Tapestry and join the conversation on our Discord channel at tapestrytalk.org. Thanks for joining us.